We learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City a lovely place to live. I'm your host, Colin Johnson with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. It is a beautiful December day, and it is feeling like Christmas. We're downtown. The streets are lighting up. People are walking around buying stuff. It's exciting, and I'm excited to be here with Miss Katie Jenkins with Thoughtful Vintage. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
So nice to meet you, and I'm excited to get to know about you and what Thoughtful Vintage is and where it started. But first of all, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
My name is Katie Jenkins. I've lived in Johnson City my whole life. I started my business in 2020, Thoughtful Vintage. I'm also a student at ETSU.
Nice.
I'll be graduating next fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. All right. So Johnson City living, what's the first thing? What do you love about Johnson City? And it's probably hard because you've been here forever, so you kind of get used to stuff. But what's your favorite thing about Johnson City?
I think just living in the mountains and the views. There's good hiking spots. I've been other places, and you don't think of the mountains around here where you live here, but whenever you go other places, you're like, oh, like it is really pretty where we live.
It is beautiful here. And like every time I'm coming home, I always come over the mountains and it's just like I'm home. What are you getting your degree in at ETSU?
Media and communications with a minor in entrepreneurship.
Awesome. That's cool. We just toured ETSU the other day, and the campus has changed a ton since I was a freshman there, and then I went to UT because it was just like high school because I went to University High for 12 years. And Carly, my wife, got 2 degrees from there. She got her master's there too. So we were both just like, wow, the campus is just awesome. It's changed completely, and our son, he really loved it. So I'm excited. Maybe he'll go there.
Yeah, they redid the Culp. It's really nice.
It's crazy. Like I was telling my son, we used to run that swirly, roopy thing in the middle. It was like a big ramp, and it was just a lot of fun, but they got rid of that. But what they've done with it is just amazing. It looks like a crazy new building that should be somewhere in a big city. Tell us about Thoughtful Vintage. Where'd that come from? Where'd that idea grow from?
Thoughtful Vintage is a women's vintage store. I stopped shopping fast fashion in 2018, and so I started thrifting a lot of my clothes, and I would find some stuff like, oh, well, I think someone else would like this. So I would sell clothes a little bit here and there. And then in 2020, I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to start my business. And so then that's where Thoughtful Vintage started.
That's cool. So tell me, you said the word fast fashion or words. Tell me about that and our listeners. What's fast fashion?
Mass-produced clothes. There's 52 seasons of fashion.
What?
So, yeah.
So every week there's a different...
that are constantly bringing out new clothes, and so that's fast fashion.
That's crazy to think about. So, like, there are 52 seasons in fashion.
Which means every single week there's new styles, new clothes.
So that's kind of like they're putting pressure on you to be like, oh, you're not trending with this week. You got to go buy more clothes. Yep. And then you're seeing a lot of these clothes just disposable, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about disposable clothes versus what you're trying to accomplish.
So a lot of clothes are made pretty cheaply because if your clothes are going to kind of fall apart, you're going to buy new clothes sooner, or you're just going to throw them out and be like, well, they're not in style anymore. So with what I do is I will go thrifting, shop secondhand, and find pieces. And with vintage pieces, if they've lasted, the past 40 years, then they're probably going to last a good while longer. And then sometimes if stuff is stained or has like a rip, like I'll fix that to kind of give it new life. So then someone will be wearing it again. So just helps keep clothes out of the landfills, because a lot of clothes that go to thrift stores are eventually going to end up in landfills just because there's such a overproduction of clothes that there's no way that all those clothes are going to get bought at the thrift store.
That's cool. Okay. So you mentioned you have some clothes that are 40 years old?
I've bought stuff as old, I'd say, from like the 30s and 40s before.
How do you know? Like, I guess just maybe it looks that way, but I'm like, it's not like a born on date in there?
I do like research and stuff, like research the different tags. Like union made clothes, you can know like, okay, based on this tag, this is from the 70s. Based on this tag, it's from, this year. So you can kind of know from different stuff. And where I've done it for a while, I'd start to know better, like, oh yeah, this has got to be from the 80s, or, oh, yeah, this is definitely from the 60s.
That's really fun. Now, do you have a shop locally?
I sell online. Okay. I have a rack of clothes in Blues Brews right over here in downtown.
Yeah.
And then I do some pop-ups in the area throughout the year.
Nice. So tell me about your day-to-day. Like you're going to school still. So, but how are you finding these clothes? Are you online shopping for these clothes yourself? And then
I'll go to local thrift stores in the summer. I'm going to a lot of estate sales, a lot of yard sales. If I'm on vacation, I'll go to every single thrift store that I see while I'm out. So just kind of every chance I get, I'm just out at different stores just
Friends
looking
are
for
like, we're
stuff.
going to the beach. And you're like, I'm going to the thrift shop. That's crazy.
When we're traveling, I'm like, oh, let's just stop at this thrift store, like we've got time.
I get it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's cool. So where did this did you grow up in liking fashion or?
Yeah, I feel like I've always even like my mom said whenever I was 2 that I insisted on having a certain color for my Christmas dress. So I've always just kind of had a different style and always picked out my own clothes ever since I was super little.
I
So
gotcha. Carly should be doing this podcast today, not me, because she is very fashion forward. And I'm like, I have a uniform. I put on my khaki pants or my dark pants every day and a sweater and a shirt and go on. So that's really cool. I love it. And so you're recycling clothes. You're kind of helping with the environmental issue of that too. So how do you see fashion moving forward? Do you see more people getting into vintage clothes and less disposable kind of clothes?
The vintage market's definitely growing, and people are kind of starting to realize, okay, some of these brands aren't the best. They're not treating their workers very well. So some people are starting to kind of make a change towards more sustainable options.
What is that called? Because I know in the coffee world it's fair trade, or in the food world it's fair trade stuff.
I call it slow fashion because the opposite of fast fashion.
Gotcha.
So.
That's cool. And then how do you find out if it was humanely made, or how do you find those
some
things
brands
out?
are super transparent about it. So if I'm going to buy something from a brand, I do quite a bit of research on them and to kind of figure out. There's different certifications that brands can have that you're like, okay, yeah, this is a good brand.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, for your business, Thoughtful Vintage, what do you see moving forward in the future?
I'd like to eventually open up a brick and mortar in the Johnson City area. So that's something I'm hoping to do in the next couple years. So,
have you looked at the Generalist? There's a little spot there too. I know I saw some clothes that seemed vintagey.
Yeah,
there.
I've seen some vintage clothes in there.
Yeah, so I think I love that you're going to get a storefront. That would be really cool. Carly will definitely come check that out. So, when do you graduate?
I graduate in the fall of 23.
Okay, and are you working in a master's too, or are you just
No, I
doing
think just bachelor's.
Okay, and then so hopefully you'll just go straight into the pushing the fashion.
Yeah.
That's cool. You gonna do it all on your own? You're gonna partner up with some people? Or?
For now, it's just kind of me by myself, but we'll see.
That's cool. So tell me about you growing up here. Where did you go to school and all that fun stuff?
I graduated from Elizabethan High School.
Okay.
I've always grown up around here. I was kind of someone who just wanted to move away and wanted to get out of here. But then for college, I decided to stay around here. And then kind of after that, I started to really be like, you know what? This is actually a really nice place that we live in. I have a picture that an artist painted. It's the Johnson City sign, and it says "Bloom where you're planted." And I just kind of really felt that the past couple years, just this is where I'm meant to be, So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite things to do in Johnson City for our listeners? 'Cause they're always looking for stuff, and we've had some older people on here. We now have a younger person on here. So, tell us what you and your friends like to do.
We've been getting some more coffee shops. I definitely like to go check out different coffee shops around here. Of course, thrift stores.
What's your favorite coffee shop?
My favorite coffee shop, I really like Open Doors.
Yeah.
I'd probably say.
That's one of my favorites too.
Early Birds is also really good. They're a mobile coffee shop in the area,
Yeah.
so you can't always get them every day.
Where are they typically? Do they have a
Mostly around Kingsport area.
Okay.
But different places where I do pop-ups, they also set up at different events like that. So it's nice whenever I'm set up somewhere and I can get coffee all day.
Yeah, that is nice and bad for you maybe. I'm on my 12th cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And they're like, great, keep buying it. Yeah, Blues Brews used to have a, kind of a mobile spot, and now
Yeah, I
they've
really like
opened
theirs
up.
too. And they've expanded to alcohol and stuff too now. So
Yeah, so one of the owners is a friend of ours that we go to church with, and so they're excited about it, their expansion. So I need to go check it out. So
yeah, it's really
I
cute
like their
there.
coffee, Dos Gatos, right here. Do you ever go there?
I've been there once.
Okay, well, you're drinking Dos Gatos
again,
coffee
yeah.
this morning. Shout out to
Good.
Dick Nelson. I think he's going to come on here one day. So you like coffee shops. What else does life look like for you in Johnson City?
I stay pretty busy. I have a little boy. He's 1 now. So we go to a lot of parks and stuff around here
How
too.
cool
He
is
loves
that?
getting out and
Man.
climbing on everything at the park. So
That's awesome. What's his name?
Landon,
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
thank you.
So, what was your first job before you got into the fashion world?
I worked at Dunkin' for a little over a year.
Yeah,
Kind of like into high school, into college. So, and then I stopped working at Dunkin' whenever I decided that thoughtful vintage was what I really wanted to do. So,
that's cool. That's cool. Now, how many hours a week do you think you're putting into this deal?
I don't keep up with it. I feel like it's hard sometimes to like separate like
Uh-huh.
work from
Shopping.
home and stuff because like I'll be like posting stuff online, but then I'm also doing my social media and stuff. So I am usually most of the day kind of like checking in on stuff for my business. So
That's cool. Maybe tell some of the listeners who are doing the same thing, maybe across the country somewhere. How does what does that day to day social media marketing for you look like? What is that?
I do some reels usually like kind of like styling different outfits or stuff, or I'll do like outfit of the day, things like that. If I'm posting stuff on my website, I'll do a reel of what it's about to be on there. I'll make posts if I have pop-ups, things like that. I always announce those ahead of time and then post of how it looks that day. And then on my stories, like if I'm out thrifting, I'll be posting on there and stuff too. And I try to kind of be a little bit more personable. So even if it's just kind of me out one day, I'll still be kind of on my story, just, like, oh, this is what I'm doing.
Hey, my man eating pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And so do you I guess you wear only vintage stuff? I mean,
No,
typically
but
or
it's
you
all either secondhand or from like sustainable brands and stuff. So everything I'm wearing today is secondhand. It's not necessarily all vintage, but it's all thrifted.
that's awesome. Yeah, Dave Ramsey has a saying that everything's used the day you buy it. And so I'm a big fan. I think it's great. Um, who has been like a mentor slash leader for you that you would like to maybe talk about or give a little shout out to? Anybody in your life that's kind of helped mentor you towards your
There's some
entrepreneurial spirit?
there's some people who kind of do stuff similar to me in other states that I've kind of talked to. My dad has his own business, so just I've grown up just around seeing him like running his business and the kind of behind the scenes of it. So it's kind of cool because I can kind of ask him about some things, because even though it's completely different fields, like there's some parts that kind of go in line where
Sure.
he's got his own business. And then taking my entrepreneurship classes at ETSU has helped a lot. One of my professors, he's helped me put together like my pitch deck and everything for my business. So it's been really helpful going there.
That's cool. What's your favorite part about the business side of it? Like, some people are more marketing, some people are more like face to face sales, some people are, numbers. They're like down in the digits. That's definitely not me. But what's your favorite part of
I
being an
think the
entrepreneur?
marketing of it, I really like doing the social media part of it and everything. And then, of course, going out and actually finding all the pieces is probably my favorite thing. I could be out every single day at the thrift stores,
Yeah,
so I definitely really enjoy that. But then the more I thrift, I'm like, oh, now I've got to post all this for sale too.
yeah. And so, do you have like some goals set for yourself? Like, okay, I can only buy this. Like, you've got inventory and revenue, so you got to look at these things and like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I've got to. And then I would feel, for me, this is just talking out loud. I'd feel a little pressure, like I've got to go find a shirt today, or like a sweater or whatever I'm looking for. And
Yeah.
then if maybe you're disappointed some days, like,
Yeah, some days I'll go and I'm like, oh, well, there wasn't really even anything today. But then I'm like, well, I'll go another day. Especially with like yard sales, they're so hit or miss. Sometimes like I'll drive an hour and then I'm like, there was not even
right.
anything
I had
around here
lots of
that was worth it.
Tupperware and
Yeah.
saws and stuff, but I didn't
So,
need any of that. Yeah.
but it's still
Yeah.
fun. I still like getting out. So,
Same for me. I'm out every day kind of looking for business, seeing who I can help buy or sell a house. And so some days it's great. I meet somebody and I'm like, oh, you need a house? Awesome. Other days they're like, oh man, didn't find anybody today. So, any advice that you'd give someone kind of thinking about getting into the vintage market space?
I'd say start with whatever that your style is. Like for
Okay.
me, like I kind of just started like if I would wear it, I'll buy it because someone else is probably going to wear it
Yeah.
too. So that's kind of where I started with it. Now there's certain things I know will sell because I've been doing it for a while. But
Okay.
starting out, I was like, if I would wear it, somebody else probably would too.
Yeah. That's cool. Carly's on ThreadUp, I think, is a lot of that. So she'll find stuff that way. She's the same. She's like, I don't, um, it seems like she likes to repurpose and reuse and recycle a lot of clothes because, yeah, you're right. A lot of it's going to landfill, and that's just not. It's just sad. Especially there are a lot of people who need clothes and they don't have them, and so you almost wonder if like some of that could go. How do we bundle it up and send it to third world countries where they don't have any clothes? Or they need more clothes. So, um, So, what do you see for the future of Johnson City? I mean, we're growing a lot,
Yeah.
and I know you're thinking about opening a business. What excites you about the future of Johnson City? Any thoughts there?
I'm excited to see what other kind of businesses come into the area. We've gotten so many new places lately, and they're starting to build up downtown more. And so I think just seeing like most of my life, it's kind of always just been the same. And then kind of suddenly there's just all these new things happening. So I think it's exciting. And then there's actually, more stuff to do. And I'm excited to see what other places are just going to come into the area.
Yeah, and we're getting tons of new people moving here too, with tons of new ideas, new thoughts. Hopefully, we keep our kind of our core values, and then we can continue to grow. Kind of responsibly, I would think would be a good way to say it. Do you have your eye on a spot for your business yet, or you kind of?
Not really. I feel like I've kind of got a vision in my head of what I want it to look like, but not exactly where yet. So,
Okay, well, let me know. I'll keep an eye out for sure. Um, okay, let's do a little Johnson City. Like, what's your favorites?
okay.
All right, you're going to get a hamburger. Where are you going?
Usually Pals.
Okay, let's say it's a fancy burger.
Okay, then I'm going to Cootie Brown's.
Yeah, I love Cootie Brown's burgers. They're so good. Pizza.
Pizza. I don't really eat a lot of pizza. I feel like if I'm doing pizza, it's just because it's something fast. So it's normally like Papa John's or something like
Okay,
that.
I got it. We like the Papa John's. We do pizza and movie night every Friday night, and my son loves Papa John's. All right, so you told me coffee is early birds and
And open doors.
open doors. Yeah. Okay. Let's say you want to go and have like a fancy dinner with like somebody. Where would you go for dinner?
Usually Cheddar's. Cheddar's is pretty good.
I like Cheddar's. They have just good stuff. Solid menu across the board. Ice cream. That's a trick question in the winter because you don't think about it. And we've had like a lot of places kind of shut down a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we don't have as many options. I'm pretty sure didn't Minchie's close? That's where I used to always go.
They're still going.
Still going? Okay,
Yeah.
well.
They're just down the hill from me at my office. So Minchie's is so good. Yeah. What's your favorite like dessert? Are you a dessert person or more or less salty?
I like cookies a lot. Usually, like if I'm going to eat a dessert, it's usually some type of cookie.
Okay. And then so on the salty side, French fries, where are you going to go for fries?
Fries, Powell's or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Those are my top two fries.
Same here. And you can get extra Frenchy fry salt on them, or extra fry salt is what it's called. And have you ever had cheddar rounds there with fry salt on them?
Yeah, those are good.
Oh, so good. So good. All right. What's something that you wish I'd ask you that I didn't? Anything you want to share with our listeners about Johnson City, about your business? Where do we find? How do our listeners connect with you? That was my next question. But
I have my website thoughtfulvintage.com. So if I'm selling stuff, I post it on there.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's thoughtful_vintage. I post a lot on there too.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page. I don't really post as much on there, but mostly just my website and Instagram.
I'm hearing that Instagram's now it's like TikTok's for the younger generation, then Instagram's getting a little older, and then Facebook's like the older. I would think that you would find vintage people in clothes on Facebook. I don't know, maybe so. How are you? I'm just going back to how do you source it? Do you find people reach out to you to sell their stuff? Or?
I have before, and then my parents' friends, if they're going through their closets, sometimes they'll just give me stuff, and usually it is vintage clothes. So.
Okay, so I should talk to my parents about their clothes and say, hey, that's fun. Okay. And so, are you on other markets like Etsy and Amazon and these other spaces where you can sell your stuff more to the world?
On like Depop and Poshmark.
Okay.
But I always post stuff on my website first, and then if it doesn't sell, then I post it on other platforms.
Is that because they take a cut of the commission? Gotcha. See, I'm learning. Thank you for teaching me about the vintage clothing world and how to sell online. Okay. So we learned about how people can connect with you online, and those URLs will be in our show notes, so people can click on that too. What's your favorite thing or tradition for Christmas?
For Christmas, growing up always with like my great grandma, we would always make like cookies and like fudge and stuff like that. So that's definitely something this year that I want to do with my little boy is like make some different desserts. So
Yeah. Does any other people in your family like to cook too, or just you?
yeah, my dad cooks some, but just depends. I feel like you get busy and you don't have as much time to cook.
Yeah.
So
Any siblings, brothers, sisters?
I have two little brothers.
Okay.
One is 10, one is 14. So,
Okay. So they're not cooking yet.
no.
They're just bothering you still. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed getting to know you. I know our listeners will as well, and I hope you guys can connect with them and connect with Katie and buy some vintage clothes. And if you have any old clothes, and mine are getting older all the time, but if you have any old clothes and you want to hook up with her, connect with her, and she might be able to take a look at it. I mean, can they just send you pictures of it and stuff and see how this is something that would work or not? Yeah, it'd be cool. Well, cool. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. It was great chatting with you. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining the conversation. Until next time, I'm Colin Johnson with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you want to make Johnson City your home, if you want to invest in real estate and build wealth there, we would love to talk to you about that. If you need to sell a property, obviously, we'd love to help you there too. So thank you so much for listening. Reach out if there's anything I can do for you. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a great day.